And we are now recording. Welcome, guys, to episode 3, guys. Welcome to episode 3 of the Lambo and Cash show, guys, at episode 3. Hey, Cash, I bet you didn't expect that applause to appear right with the sound effect on episode 3. Yeah, we didn't have an episodes 2 and 1, but we got an episode 3. Shout out to Coach T from the B Ready Sports Podcast for inputting that in. Shout out to him, and we definitely have some others on here that we may use later on in the show. But yeah, guys, thank you guys for supporting here in episode 3. Just starting up, but hey, we're keeping up that consistency. But also, please make sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon on YouTube so that you get notified of when the next recording is of the Lambo and Cash show. So do that on YouTube. But also, we have an Instagram, just like the Be Ready Sports Podcast. We have an Instagram at Lambo and Cash show. Basically, sports news. Basically, that's where we post anything with the Lambo and Cash show. That will be on the Instagram. That's the Instagram, Lambo and Cash show. YouTube, like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon. All right, guys, so episode 3. I don't have my other co-hosts tonight. They are busy doing their thing, but I do have one of the names of the Lambo and Cash show, and that is Cash, the BJJ artist himself. Cash, what's up, man? You doing good?
Yeah.
Amazing, Cash. Yes. Since we have Cash here, we're going to talk about some combat sports, MMA, wrestling, BJJ. We're going to talk about that about 75% of the show today. And then the other 25%, we're going to talk about what's going on outside of the MMA world, which is basketball, which is college basketball. So we're going to talk about those sports topics today. So, hey, it's going to be a really interesting show. You guys are going to learn some things about BJJ that's going on in the BJJ world that you may have not known is going on right now. So, yeah, so we're definitely going to inform you guys today of what's going on here on episode 3. So, Cash, let's get this started, shall we, with these
I gotta run to grab a tissue real quick. Hold on.
Yeah, so now let's kick off the sports topics. Okay, so let's start with the Sweet 16 of the NCAA tournament. It has been crazy in the NCAA tournament. Let's start off with this one. The first game of the night, it was number 11 Texas taking on number 2 Purdue. Purdue, number 2 over here in the Sweet 16, the first match of the Sweet 16, and it did not disappoint. Texas, the Cinderellas from the first 4, they had to play an extra game to get into the tournament, Cash. They beat NC State in a game winner to get into the tournament. They played BYU, a very good BYU team. They ended up upsetting them. Moving on to the second round, they ended up being a very good Gonzaga team, an elite contender. Moving on to the Sweet 16, and then here they are. They take on Purdue, a team who beat Queens and the University of Miami in the second round. That's how they got here to this position. 2 very good teams came down to the wire, Cash, and it literally came down to the final play. So it came down to the final play, and here's the clip of that final play. So here it is. Here is the clip.
Down to 5. Smith shaking, bacon. Smith puts it up. No, the foul. It's good with .7 left. Trey Kaufman-Wren has given Purdue the lead. A chance at the last shot. It's up. No good. Purdue advances.
What a finish over there. What a finish over there in San Jose as Purdue survives with a putback tip by Trey Kaufman-Wren, who has been great in this tournament for Purdue, and the number 2 seed of the Purdue Boilermakers. They will advance to the Elite 8. And they are just one step closer to a championship. So, Cash, so what are your thoughts on this game and basically that clip that I just saw? Like, what are your thoughts on that clip, basically?
Good Lord. They hit the dang. First off, you miss the shot, and then your teammate lands it for you. Yeah, First off, if there's YouTube clips being posted of that, the comments are going to blow up with, like, how embarrassing your teammate had to save you. But
yeah,
that's ridiculous. That was insane. Imagine that final shot landed.
Yeah, crazy, right? Braden Smith, very elite player. He gets the shot off, kind of unbalanced, but he almost makes it. But then Trey Kaufman-Renn, he was right there for the putback. Cash, basketball is a team sport. And obviously, you're not going to win a game going 1-on-5. So obviously, a teammate had to come in there, put a little putback in there, help his teammate out to win the game. So then as you can see there, Purdue wins by 2 points, and those 2 points was that putback dunk. So putback, how do you say it? Well, not a dunk, but like putback, basically. So yeah. Purdue, the number 2 seed, they will advance to the Elite Eight, and they're just one step closer to the Final Four. Texas gets eliminated, but what a run they had as the number 11 seed, making it all the way to the Sweet 16, which is insane for that Texas team being an 11 seed, which is rare cash nowadays. A double-digit seed going into the Sweet 16. So shout out to Texas. Great season. Purdue keeps on going. All right, now let's talk about this game right here. Oof.
Yay.
And sound the alarm indeed. And the first time on this show, Cash, that we actually sounded the alarm on this show. And if you guys tune into the Be Ready Sports podcast, we usually do that alarm for upset alerts. And as you can see there, number 9, Iowa upsets number 4, Nebraska in a great game. Cash, are you good?
Yeah, I'm fine.
I bet you didn't expect that alarm, right?
Nope.
Hey, episode 3. Hey, we keep upgrading on this show. So shout out to Coach T for the sound effects. Obviously, we have those on the Be Ready Sports podcast. So shout out to him for being a good sport and basically putting it on this show. But as you can see there, we have an upset here. Number 9, Iowa beating number 4, Nebraska. A very close game between these two. Nebraska was up the whole game. Iowa did not take a lead, did not take a single lead until 2 minutes left of this game. And when Iowa took the lead, they kept the lead and ran away with the lead as they win the game 77-71. Cash, what are your thoughts on this? Number 9, Iowa, they pulled off 2 upsets to get here. They beat an 8 seed, and they knocked off the reigning defending national champions, the Florida Gators, in a very good game. They ended up knocking them down in the second round to get here. Nebraska, they got here by beating the Sun Belt champions, Troy, and then they played Vanderbilt in a very close game that they could have lost, but the ball went in and out of the rim by Tyler Tanner's half-court shot, and that's how Nebraska got here. So 2 basically difficult paths, Cash. So what are your thoughts on Iowa getting the win?
It sounded like Nebraska had a harder time with the teams coming up to this game. Sounded like Iowa, maybe even if they were the underdogs, seemed to have an easier time. I feel like that if they know their opponents have had harder games, but have had seemingly easier wins, like one easier than they have against what seems to be easier matchups than they should have been. I can't find words, but it basically seems that there may have been like Iowa may have been more fresh or something because they had easier. It seems that they had an easier path to get here, even though they were underdogs.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, Iowa last game they had to beat the defending champions, which is not easy to do. Iowa, they definitely they played very well against Florida. They played very well in that game. They deserve to win that game in some people's eyes. So here they are in the Sweet 16. They play a Big Ten rival, a team who they're pretty familiar with. They played twice this season. They played twice this season. So this was the trilogy. In this one, they split the series. So Iowa won 1, Nebraska won 1. So this was the trilogy. Who was going to win the season series? And then you see Iowa wins the season series, and they knock out their Big Ten rivals in the Sweet 16. And Iowa will be advancing to the Elite Eight. They will be advancing to the Elite Eight in the city of Houston. They play this game in the city of Houston. Iowa got the win over Nebraska. So Iowa, they will take on the winner between Arkansas and Arizona, and we'll talk about that game between Arizona and Arkansas. Oh, no. Illinois and Houston. My bad. So Iowa would play the winner between Illinois or Houston. So speaking about Illinois and Houston, let's talk about that game right there.
Why does he look like Ryan Garcia?
Yeah, I know, right? Why does he look like Ryan Garcia? Literally. Young players over there at Illinois. A lot of international players cash in Illinois. Like if you look at their roster, their last names like Croatian last names, Serbian last names, like things like that, basically. Like their last names are not American last names. They're like international, Europeans. And
You're not like Smith. It's not Smith.
It's not Smith. There you go. Probably the only American player I don't know if he's the only American player, but he's probably the only known American player is Keaton Wagler. He's one of the top freshmen in the country. He plays for Illinois. And what a game this was, Illinois and Houston. Houston, it just kind of looked like things were not clicking for Houston. And it just looked like things weren't clicking. They were playing, by the way, 2 miles away from their campus, Cash. So it's like basically a home game, basically, for Houston. But at the end, it was Illinois who got the win at the end, the number 3 seed, and now they will be advancing to the Elite 8. So, Cash, so what do you
– like maybe we're nervous at competing almost at home with such a big – with everything on the line, basically. And if these teams have played before with the same players, Illinois could have just had their number, kind of like Iowa may have in the last one.
Yeah, true. You know, Houston was playing 2 miles away from their campus. What could it be? Could it be jitters? Could it be comfortability because you're comfortable playing at home and usually you're not used to playing at home, like 2 miles away from your campus? That's like running distance. Like people can run 2 miles from like 2 miles from wherever, from point A to point B. And a lot of Houston fans were there, and also a lot of Illinois fans were there over there at the Toyota Center in Houston. So kind of, you know, equal side in the fan base, but at the end, Illinois, they got the win and they knock off Houston, Cash. So Illinois, the number 3 seed, very good team from the Big Ten. They will now face Iowa. In the Elite Eight. And these two are in the same conference. And those two are in the same conference. So they will play each other once again. They'll play each other again in the Elite Eight. So Illinois.
If the season has taught us anything, I was gonna win. Upset alert.
Yeah, it would be an upset because Iowa's number 9, Illinois would be number 3, and imagine Iowa, number 9 seed, going to the Final Four. Like that would be insane. That would be insane.
Almost every single game that we've covered, that at least I've been a part of on this podcast, has been an upset. So if history's going to repeat itself, it's going to be Iowa winning.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the schedule, Cash, and when they played, the first time they played was back in January. They played Illinois. They played at home in Iowa. In Iowa, they lost by 6 points. They lost by 6 points at home. But then they played again, or they played once. I think they played once. Yeah, I think they played once. Yeah, they only played once this season. I thought they played twice, but they only played once, and Illinois got the win on that one. So I guess we'll see. Well, obviously things have changed from January to March, now the end of March. So we'll see what happens. And the winner, Cash, goes on to the Final Four, which is a major accomplishment in the college basketball tournament. All right, so now let's move on to this one right here. No upset alert, guys, this time. No upset alert. Man, Arizona. What a performance they had last night against number 4 Arkansas. What a game they had last night. On my bracket, I thought I had Arkansas beating Arizona because Arkansas, they're just a really good team. They have one of the best freshmen in the country, Darius Acup Jr., one of the best players in the country, and Darius Acup Jr. But it was just Arizona. They were everything was just clicking for him, Arizona, in that game from the beginning to the end. Like their offense was just clicking, and Arkansas basically couldn't do nothing about it. Arizona, as you can see, there are 109 points. Like there's only a few teams in the tournament that's had 100 plus, and Arizona, they're one of those 119s, and they shot really good from three. Cash. They went 5 for 8 from three. Not a lot of 3-point attempts, but they made more than 50%, which is crazy for Arizona. So what are your thoughts, Cash, on Arizona, the number 1 team in the region? They beat a really good number 4 seed, shooting 5 for 8 from the 3-pointer. So basically 15 points off threes.
I mean, that's a pretty big gap, but it's also a pretty in the points, but it's also a pretty big gap in the rankings. Like it's close. Like if you're the number 1 seed, you shouldn't be losing to the number 4 seed.
Mm-hmm. No, you shouldn't.
I mean, unless they're like up and coming prospect that's beating everyone, you shouldn't be losing.
Yeah, I agree. But obviously in this March Madness tournament, there's been some teams that are at 4, at 5 that can sneak up that can sneak up on teams and beat the number 1 seed. Like for example, Iowa, right? Cash. Florida was number 1 in the region, but guess who beat them? Iowa. So number 9, exactly, not number 4. They were number 9 and they beat them. So hey, Cash, it's crazy in March Madness. Any seed can beat a top seed in the bracket. It could be on any given night. So as you can see there, Arizona, they avoid the trap against Arkansas and they win. They move on to the Elite 8 and they will play Purdue. So it'll be number 1 against number 2 in the Elite 8 in San Jose, California. All right, now here. So now let's talk about the most watched first weekend game. So this is basically from the first 2 rounds, Cash. So these are all from the first 2 rounds. As you can see, okay, so let's start off at 10. Number 10, Santa Clara. They were in the number 10 seed, taking on number 7, Kentucky. This was a first round game. This was the first game of the day on CBS. What a game this was, Cash. Came down to the wire. Santa Clara hits a 3-pointer to put them up 3, and then a star player from Kentucky, Otega Owe, hits a 3-pointer to tie the game and go into overtime, and Kentucky wins the game in overtime to beat Santa Clara. Number 9, just what I was talking about, Cash, with Iowa, number 9 seed being the number 1 seed. They were the number 9 most watched game with 5.14 million. And then number 8.
5.14 million watching the number 1 seed get knocked off.
Crazy, right? Crazy indeed. And number 8, Duke, they were the number 1 seed in their region. They played number 16, Siena. Siena, they're a really good team. They're better than a 16 seed. When I heard they were a 16 seed, I thought they were better than a 16 seed. And they showed it in the game against Duke. They gave a fight to Duke. Duke only won by a couple points in that game. Siena, they're number 16 seed, Cash. So basically the 16 seed, that is the lowest seed in the region. So basically in the first round, it would be number 1 versus number 16. So Cash, so guess how many times in the history of the tournament this has happened? Guess how many times?
Once?
Close.
Twice?
Yeah, there you go. Twice. Yeah, Cash, happened twice. It's happened twice in the history of the March Madness tournament and could have been a third. But Cash, the only problem with Siena, they only made 1 substitution in the game. So basically 5 guys that started the game, they played 40 minutes, and there's 40 minutes in a college basketball game. So that is just crazy and insane.
A lot.
Yes, that is a lot. And the Siena players, they got tired. They got tired, obviously, because you're playing against the number 1 team that's really talented.
Why would they not swap out?
I guess the coach thought that he put the 5 best players out there. But I did talk about this on another podcast, not the Be Ready Sports podcast, on another podcast, episode 1, Bruce Hope, his podcast, the Format podcast. I was on there a few days ago, and I talked about why Siena only made 1 substitution, Cast. So basically, Siena, they only had 7 players in the game. 7 players eligible. Let's just say that 7 players eligible, and the 2 other players. And the 2 other players that were the 2 other players that were eligible were guards. They were 5'11" and 6'6". So they played around the perimeter. So basically, the bigs in that game who played really good, they got tired because there's no backups for them, Cash. So basically, they had no other choice but to play 40 minutes in that game. So basically, Cash, in basketball, it's hard to play 40 minutes. So basically, like for you, basically, well, I don't think there's subs in BJJ.
No.
Yeah, there's not.
There's submissions.
Hmm?
Sub is short for submission.
Hey, there you go. Sub means submission for you guys. For us, it means substitution. So two different terms with subs. But for you, Cash, it's basically like in a BJJ in a BJJ fight longer than your usual matches. So I don't know how long is your usual match, but just imagine that longer than your usual match. So how would you feel in your BJJ match going longer than usual?
Probably tired, but I don't know, because most of my matches, I don't think I've ever won by point. All of my wins are by submission, so in a tournament, if it was scheduled to go over, it most likely wouldn't.
Also, they just cut it off as like a tie, or no?
No, I mean, usually the ref would just make a decision on who he thought would win, or there's the point system. But most of my matches are submissions. So usually if it was even if it was longer than usual, it wouldn't go the full way most likely.
Okay. All right.
But I'd still definitely be tired.
Yeah, for sure. And definitely in a basketball game, you play 40 minutes and there's obviously breaks in between. There's like commercial breaks and stuff. There's commercial breaks. There's timeouts that go into it. So they had kind of a break, but they didn't really have a break. They kind of had to – they were playing basically. They weren't sitting down basically. I'm going to just say that. Like they weren't really sitting down and resting their bodies while the game was going on. Like they played 40 straight minutes even past the break. So that was Siena. They lost to Duke. There, VCU and Illinois, good game in the beginning, but then VCU lost their star guard, and then Illinois just ran away with that game. 5.65 million viewers for that game. Illinois just beat VCU. They were number 10 seed, Cash, of VCU. Number 6, Michigan.
Was Illinois still like 3, right?
Yes.
They were 3? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so basically you start out the region with the same seeding. So throughout the whole seeding, Texas was 11. Purdue was 2. From the first round all the way till the end. So so there's no such thing as reseeding. Yeah, so as you can see at number 6, it goes up higher than 6 million. St. Louis, they were number 9 seed. They played number 1 seed Michigan in a very good game. The game was a pretty good game, but at the end, Michigan ends up winning that game and beating State.
That one.
Oh yeah. All right, so
yeah, my aunt and uncle weren't too happy about it.
Oh no,
they're Michigan State fans. It's where my cousin goes to college, so they're not super happy about other Michigan winning.
Oh, so you guys were, well, they were Ohio State fans.
No, they were. When you look 2 teams up, you see the Spartan helmet.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They're Michigan State fans.
Oh, they were Michigan State. Okay, my bad. Yeah, there was a little bit of gap between the state, but okay. So Michigan State. Oh yeah, obviously they're rivals. Michigan State. They're big rivals. And yeah, St. Louis had a chance to beat Michigan in that game. It's just that Michigan just outlasted them basically in that game. So 6.25 million views, a lot of views for that game. And then top 5, we go into the top 5. Miami, the Hurricanes. They were the number 7 seed. They knocked off number 2 Purdue in a very good game. Purdue kind of had to fight to the end here, but Purdue ended up winning that game. Number 4, you have Louisville. They were the number 6 seed, taking on number 3 Michigan State. They were number 3, 8.47 million. Like, Cash, look at that jump from 5 to 4. Like, it was about 2 million viewer jump from 5 to 4, which is insane. And then we get to the top 3, and then Cash, look at that jump from 4 to 3. It was about a 1 million viewer jump. TCU, they were the number 9 seed playing number 1 Duke. Duke ended up winning big in this game. They just outlasted TCU. Number 2, Kentucky and Iowa State. Very good game. Kentucky had a good start in this game. Kind of looked like they were going to upset them, but then Iowa State started to get it going, and they beat Kentucky in that game. And they beat Kentucky in that game. They played tonight against Tennessee. Last but not least, you had the Battle of the Blue Bloods. By the way, Cash, Blue Bloods are like higher profile colleges for college basketball. So St. John's, they're coached by a high-profile coach, Rick Pitino, who has won 2 national championships. He's been in the championship picture before, plays Kansas, another great coach, Bill Self. So 2 great coaches going at it. But it came down to a game winner. St. John's ended up winning that game. $10.58 million. That was the most out of the first weekend games. Cash, so which game in particular here do you see as like interested to you, like the one that like pops out to you?
Number 9 probably. Just the number 9 seed knocking off the number 1 seed is ridiculous.
Okay, so number 9. Okay. Is that the only matchup?
I mean, I'm happy about the Michigan State one because I don't really root for different colleges, but that's where my cousin goes, so I'll be happy to root for that.
All right. So just 9 and 4.
Yeah. I do have a question.
Yeah.
At the top, where it says Culver's, is that the sponsor?
I don't know. That's not the sponsor for the March Madness tournament, but probably for the account that it was posted on 3, which is a very popular like database for scouting. So probably they were sponsored by Culver's or something like that. I don't know.
Culver's is actually really good.
It is. It is really darn good.
That's the trick to figuring out which cheese curds are yellow and which are white before he even bites them.
Yeah, I know Culver's. They're one of the best. They're one of the top. The first time I tried Culver's, it's crazy that we came from talking about college basketball to Culver's now. We're talking about college basketball to fast food. Hey, that's the greatness of this show. We talk about stuff like this, but Culver's definitely up there. The first time I tried it was in Central Florida. Great food and drink.
Yeah, I had it in Illinois.
So out of state. All right. Yeah, so Culver's definitely the top, and those are the top 10 games of the first weekend of the NCAA tournament. So as you can see there, $10.58 million. I cannot wrap my head around that one. $10.58 million. That is just amazing. All right, now let's do an unbelievably crazy stat, Cash. So shout out to Coach T. He sent this to our group chat today of the Lambo and Cash show, and basically he sent us this. Basically, he sent us this, saying that the most insane stat you'll read all day. Every time Duke has won the national championship, they beat St. John's that same season. 1991, 1992, 2001, 2010, and 2015. And Cash, guess what?
They're playing St. John's.
Duke and St. John's, they're playing tonight. So they have a chance to keep this stat going. Obviously, this is the Sweet 16. If Duke wins, they have to win 3 other times to win the championship. So, Cash, do you think this is going to go on? Because if Duke wins, they will play the winner between Michigan State, UConn in the Elite 8. Then they'll move on to the Final 4. Most likely play either Illinois or Iowa, most likely for the Final 4. And then most likely in the championship game, they'll probably play either Arizona or Purdue so pretty tough road. But Cash, do you think this stats is still going to go if Duke wins tonight?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, I don't know what the science behind this is, but I have no idea.
It's all right. Yeah, so Duke, they're the number 1 seed. They are the number 1 seed in the region. That guy on the left there, that is Cameron Boozer. one of the top players in the country, in my personal opinion, the best player in the country. On the left.
Left. Okay, left.
Yeah, so he's the left. Yeah, so Duke has been a really good team this year, but they haven't looked impressive in the tournament. Their first game, I told you, Cash, was about Siena. They only won by a close margin. Then they played TCU. I know they pulled away from that game, but they kind of struggled with TCU. So now they're playing a St. John's team who's basically handled their business, and then that guy right there on the right, he's the star player for St. John's. That is Zubi Ejiofor, the best player on the team for St. John's. And yeah, he is tough. He is a tough player. And St. John's are a very physical team, defensive team. And St. John's, they've been handling business. Their first round matchup handled business against Northern Iowa. Then they played Kansas. Close game, but Kansas, they're a really good team. And then they're winning by a game winner. So St. John's, they might win this game. And on my bracket, I had St. John's beating Duke. So we'll see what happens tonight, Cash. If Duke wins, can they keep that stat up? If not, then the stat continues, because if Duke loses, the stat won't get affected because they didn't win the national championship. So we'll see what happens tonight. They play tonight, actually. Duke, St. John's, they will play at the time this is being filmed. Okay, so let's now talk about the NBA. Before we get into the other topics, Cash, before we get into these topics, here's the MVP ladder here from the NBA. This is updated as of the day of the recording. This is updated on the day of the recording. We're recording this. This is the top 10. Number 10, Anthony Edwards. Crazy athleticism. Great player. Very good player from the Minnesota Timberwolves. He's got athleticism like crazy, Cash. Like he can jump. Like he got hops, basically. Let's just say that. Donovan Mitchell at number 9, a really good guard from the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's their number 1 right there. That's their number 1 star in Cleveland. He's been one of the best players all season long, and he's definitely came up clutch in clutch times. Donovan Mitchell. He's been in the league for a while, so him being up here is definitely deserving. Kawhi Leonard be on this list. He's had a great season compared to as of recent. Kawhi Leonard, he's dealt with injuries in the past, and that's the reason why he hasn't really cracked that MVP ladder. But since he's having a good season and his showing in the All-Star game, he actually showed up in the All-Star game. He showed what he can do, and basically he kept that going after the All-Star game and into the season, and that's why he's here at number 8. Cash, he's been doing.
I feel like his name is backwards.
Oh yeah,
his first name seems like a last name, and his last name is more of a first name.
So like Leonard Kawhi.
Yep, that's what makes more sense to me. I don't know why.
Okay, interesting. Leonard Kawhi. Okay, you can kind of see us that way, Leonard Kawhi, but it's Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi is his first name, so. but I kind of see it, Leonard, because obviously Leonard. There's people with Leonard first names, and then the other name would just be the last name, which is Kawhi. But in this case, guys, it's Kawhi Leonard. That is his first and last name. Jalen Johnson from the Atlanta Hawks. He's been showing up as of late. He wasn't a player that's been on the spotlight like SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, or Victor Wembanyama. Like he hasn't had that spotlight, but he's a rising star in this league. He's a rising star. He's been showing up as of late. He's been balling out 20 plus points a night. He's been doing really well for the Atlanta Hawks, and he's the star right now in Atlanta. He's been showing up. So he's deserving to be at number 7. Number 6, Cade Cunningham. Cade, very good player. He's been there through the rebuild in Detroit. When he was there when Detroit went on a huge losing streak. Cavs, like they went on a huge losing streak. Cade was a part of that. But then next year, the Pistons they went on or this year they went on a huge winning streak, and he was a part of that. So Cade is like the cornerstone of the Pistons right now. He's their number 1. He's been there through the rebuild, and now going up to the top of the East. He's been a part of that. He's been of the lows of lows, the highs of highs. He's been there. And And I don't know if Cade is still hurt because I did hear Cade got hurt. He got injured, and that may affect his chances of an MVP because, Cash, if you get injured, you usually go down in the list of MVP because obviously there's other players that are active that are really good. So you're injured, you do go down. So I don't know if he's injured, but he's at number 6. He's definitely an elite player. Jaylen Brown, he's been showing up as of late for the Boston Celtics. No Jason Tatum as the 1. He had to show up as the 1. He's been doing really well. One of the best teams in the East. Luka Doncic, he's been showing up this season. Like Cash, he had a 60-point game lately. Like as of recent, he had a 60-point game, which is massive. He's been showing up. He had 40. I think after that, so he scored 100 points in 2 games. Well, like each obviously, so 41 games, 60 in another. So basically 100 points combined in 2 games. So he's been showing up. Number 3, Nikola Jokic. He's been up there, MVP. He's won an MVP. He's won an NBA Finals. So he knows what it takes to be an MVP. Number 2, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the OKC guard. He's won an MVP. He's won a Finals MVP. He's won an NBA championship. So he's been there. He's a champion. He knows what it is to win an MVP. And then at number 1, Victor Wembanyama with the San Antonio Spurs, the number 1 overall draft pick in his class, and he has been balling. Cash, you know how tall Victor Wembanyama is?
No, but judging if he's the one with the number 1 on his jersey, he seems maybe 7 foot.
Yeah, he's 7 foot, but he's not your typical 7 foot. He's 7'4", according to Google.
Good Lord.
Yeah, he's 7'4", 7'5", around there. Like he's tall, and he's nicknamed as the Alien. He's nicknamed as the Alien because of his figure. Because of his figure and him being tall. So that's why they nicknamed him the Alien. So Cash, so which one of those names that I basically explained, like what are your thoughts on this? Like these are all great players in the NBA, and do you think Wembanyama will win the MVP at number 1? Will you keep that?
I mean, maybe. It seems like he's probably the top scorer in the thing. I mean, being that tall seems like it may be easy to get a basket, but the only one of these names I recognize is number 4.
Oh, Luka.
That's the only name I recognize, and even that I don't know anything about.
Okay. Yeah, Luka, he's definitely an elite player. He's pretty young. He's pretty young. Like he's a part of that new generation. And if you see here, Cash, these are going to be the new generation. Like when LeBron goes, when Steph Curry goes, when Kevin Durant goes, like these are going to be the next coming up players. Wemby, SGA, Jokic, Luka, and so on and so forth. Well, Kawhi might move on, but these are going to be the next up and coming players, and them being in the top 10 of the MVP right now, that is just insane. And they're next up. So, all right, Cash. So that is the MVP ladder as of the recording today, as we are recording this to the top 10. So, Cass, do you have any final thoughts before we get into MMA, wrestling, BJJ?
No, but I am not entirely sure. Like, I don't keep up with the NBA at all. I don't even know most of the teams. But like, I'm surprised to not see more names that I recognize, like a big name like LeBron James or Steph Curry.
Yeah, well, LeBron, when he was in his prime, he was here. Steph Curry was here too. But, Cash, there's this thing called father time. And
yeah, I thought they were still in their primes. I didn't know when they peaked or anything.
They're definitely getting older now. They're not like what they were used to in their prime. Like they're still high profile. It's just that they're not in their primes. Let's just say that. Like they're not in their primes no more. Like they're just near the end. Let's just say that because they're getting older. So, all right, Cass. So now let's talk about some UFC, MMA, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in your neck of the woods. So, but before we do that, there was an unfortunate event in the world of MMA. Chuck Norris Chuck Norris. He was a renowned martial artist, actor, and Air Force veteran, best known as a 6-time undefeated world professional middleweight karate champion from 1968 to 1974. And as you can see there, he passed away a few days ago or a week ago from today's recording. So Cash, before we do this moment of silence, so what are your thoughts on Chuck Norris?
This is sad.
Definitely very sad.
He was definitely older. What was he like? He was.
If you do the math, he was like 86.
He was 86, which is ridiculous. But what he did in his career, like born in Oklahoma, serving in the Air Force, he started martial arts while he was stationed in South Korea, earning his black belt in the South Korean martial art Tang Soo Do.
Mm-hmm.
He became a 6-time undefeated world professional middleweight karate champion, like you said. He transitioned, in the transition from fighting to acting, he had a few minor roles, but he had a breakthrough in 1974 when he fought, what's his name? Bruce Lee. I don't know why I forgot his name. But he fought Bruce Lee in that movie in Way of the Dragon. 1972 was then. After that, he starred in more than 20 movies. And he had black belts in multiple disciplines like karate, taekwondo, Tang Soo Do, BJJ, and judo. And even founded his own fighting style called Chung Kuk Do. Just his entire life was incredible.
It was indeed, and Kaz, very good job for giving us the timeline, basically, of how everything went down in his life. Very good, very nice. All right, so I'm gonna have some additional things to say, basically to add on to what you say, Kaz. But first, we're gonna do a moment of silence. So we're gonna do a moment of silence for the great Chuck Norris. All right. Yeah. Chuck Norris, to add on what you said, Cash, he held a professional full contact middleweight karate championship for 6 consecutive years. He won a karate triple crown in 1969 for the most tournaments wins of the year. He was inducted into the Martial Arts History Museum's Hall of Fame and was the first person to be voted into the Black Belt Hall of Fame. Cash, like what you said, he has his own, he created his own martial arts discipline, the Chung Kuk Do, other thing that you said. Starred in many movies. He even received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 1989, which is very rare with actors and stuff. It's like star right there in Hollywood, California, the capital of movies. Him having a star is just insane. And then him being in the military, that is just crazy. Being an actor, being a fighter, and then you being in the military, that is just a great life. And he even wrote a book called The Secret of Inner Strength and the Official Chuck Norris Fact Book. He wrote 2 books, and then he was recognized. He was named a Texas legend at the Lone Star Film and Television Awards in 1997.
Walker, Texas Ranger.
Exactly. Yep. Walker, Texas Ranger. That is it starred in the long-running television series from 1993 to 2001. That elevated his global fame with that movie. So
I remember watching an episode of that almost every night with my parents and my little brother.
Yeah, definitely. That elevated his. I'll go Cash.
And of course, there's all the memes.
The memes, hey.
Yeah, Chuck Norris doesn't sleep; he waits.
He waits.
There was one that said, "There is no chin under Chuck Norris's beard, only another fist."
with another fist. Wow, that's just crazy. And he, hey, he's definitely a great. He's definitely a great in that world of MMA, even in the acting world. And then him serving in the military in the United States Air Force, and was made honorary Marine in 2007. So he's done everything. He's done everything. He lived a full life, and he deserves to be recognized by people like me who are outside the MMA world, just looking at all these accomplishments. He definitely should be recognized, and I'm glad Bleacher Report, who covers every sport out there, MMA, basketball, football, they're recognizing Chuck Norris and the greatness that he's done. So, Chuck Norris, guys.
Chuck wasn't his actual name.
Oh, really? So, what was his actual?
Carlos Ray Norris.
Damn, really?
Yep.
Oh yeah, Carlos Ray Norris, right?
Yep.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing that now. Yep. Damn, me and him got the same name. Damn, that's crazy. Damn, that's crazy, Cash. Me and him have the same name. Yeah, he definitely deserves to be recognized. Besides him, me and him share names, but his greatness should be recognized. I'm glad Bleacher Report did that. So shout out to Bleacher Report, and shout out to all the people that are reporting on this, that recognizing him, his greatness. All right, Cash. So now this is going to be a segue into UFC. So there's a big card going on, I believe, in April. Or no, it's going to be going on tomorrow night, live from Seattle. So, okay, Cash. So basically, I'm going to get your knowledge of this, and I'll jump in and basically give some basic information. But for you, you can give as much information as you want, basically of any fighter that you see there. So, floor is yours.
Let's start with the main event. So Israel Adesanya is a former two-time champion. He's beat a lot of people, like many greats, including Robert Whittaker. He beat Robert Whittaker. He beat Alex Pereira in the rematch. Who actually? So just, I don't know how he's gonna do in this fight. He's a great fighter, but Pyfer is an up-and-coming star. He's 6 years younger than Izzy. He's a knockout artist. He submitted a Dagestani in the second round with a rear naked.
All right.
Just the styles. Pyfer is like Dustin Poirier. He's going to come forward and take your head off. And Izzy is more patient, counter striker. He'll wait for you to come in. He likes to kick a lot, but he doesn't really knock people out unless it's a counter strike that he finds. And he struggles against people who don't respect him in the ring. Like people that don't respect the power and the striking, they just come forward, which is exactly what I think Pyfer's going to do. I think Izzy's going to struggle. I think Pyfer's either going to take him down and choke the absolute crap out of him, or he's going to win by knockout.
Okay, so you got Pyfer winning.
Yes.
All right.
For the co-main event, I know Alexa Grasso is I can't find words today. A former champion in Macy Barber. I don't know much about her. I don't really know enough to make a pick on that. The only other name here I see is Michael Chiesa that I recognize, but I don't know much about him either. A lot of these are guys that aren't as well known that I don't know much about.
All right. Very interesting take, Cash, on the Adesanya Pyfer fight, which is the main event, guys. The main event. That's the main event for this card tomorrow night. So, all right. So basically, I'm gonna just give some basic knowledge. Israel Adesanya from the middleweight division, 24-5-0, 24 wins, 16 of those wins by knockout, 7 first-round finishes, and he's had 5 losses in his career. Israel Adesanya. Meanwhile, Joe Pyfer, he is in the middleweight division, 15 wins, 9 of those wins by knockout, 4 of those wins by submission, and 7 first-round finishes, and he's only had 3 losses. And he is the number 14 in the middleweight division, and Adesanya number 4. So kind of interesting there, Cass. So basically, you're picking the upset here, number 14 being the number 4 in the middleweight division.
Yeah,
all
I
right,
think it's much more likely to happen.
All right. So now in the women's flyweight belt, I'm not going to go through every single name because obviously we're going to be here all night if we do that. Because I'm not going to go through every single name, but I will go through the co-main and the main. So the co-main, as you can see there, we got the women's side, and shout out to our co-host Hudson Santiago. She's going to be here on Monday for episode 4. So she'll be here on episode 4. So she'll make her debut on episode 4, Cass. So you're going to have a partner in crime in Hudson Santiago. She's a women BJJ fighter, and if you guys want to check her out, we interviewed her on the Be Ready Sports podcast in one of the recent episodes, so you guys can check that out. For Hudson Santiago, that is her name, and I'll promote her brand once we finish the show. So speaking about the lady side, we got a women's flyweight bout. We got Alexa Grasso from Mexico. She's number 3 in the women's flyweight division, number 9 pound for pound. She has 16 wins, 4 of those wins by knockout, 2 wins by submission, 5 first round finishes for Alexa, 5 losses, and only 1 draw for Alexa Grasso. Meanwhile, she's taking on Macy Barber, who's number 5 in the women's flyweight division, number 15 pound for pound. She has 15 wins, 7. She's on a 7-fight winning streak, so she's on a red-hot streak right now. 6 wins by knockout, 2 wins by submission, and she has 15 wins in total, and she has 2 losses. So that is the co-main and the main event, guys. That's basically the basic information of the main event and the co-main. Pretty interesting card cast here with the main event and the co-main event. That'll be going on tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. That is when the when the main card is supposed to happen. I know it says there 9, but according to the UFC website, it says 8. It will be live from Climate Pledge Arena in Seattle, Washington, up there in Seattle. So we're going to have a great one tomorrow night, live from Seattle. All right. Now let's talk about some UFC BJJ now. So UFC, they also do BJJ as well. So Cash, so basically, I remember you told me backstage you recognize some of these names. So, hey, the floor is yours with this one with UFC BJJ 7.
All right, so I'm just going to go over the names that I recognize. So starting with the main event, Wagner Roca he's like 43 years old, 42 years old, but he's a legend in the sport of jiu-jitsu. He is a very aggressive fighter. He is from the country of Brazil, but he's fought in the UFC. He's the 2007 combat jiu-jitsu lightweight champion, and he's got 108 wins with like 40-something submissions, and he has 31 losses with like 7 submissions, those speed submissions. So he's 108 wins, 31 losses.
108. Wow, that is insane.
Yeah. Tackett, though, is an up-and-coming undefeated in UFC BJJ. He's up-and-coming. I think Tackett might win. He's more athletic. He is more just all the way around. I feel like he's younger. I think he's more athletic. He's a submission artist. He's strong. I feel like he's going to beat Roca off of his advantages in age, agility, and just his submission game. He's very top heavy, forward pressure. I think he's going to
win. All right. So that's the main event. All right. So is there any other names that you see on here?
Carlos Henrique, I liked from the UFC BJJ 1 Road to the Title. He was always, I don't know, I liked him in the show. He was nice. He ended up going against Isaac Doderline in like the finals or something for the lightweight championship. And Isaac like didn't tap and his elbow popped out of place or something.
Yikes.
And Carlos became champ. I don't know much about the Lucas Valente, but I think that Carlos is going to win. And the only other two names I recognize on here, I think I like Renato Canuto. He's very exciting. He lost to Tackett, but he made it a dogfight. It was insane. It was a really good fight. He's very entertaining. I think he's probably going to win his fight. And Rana Willink. Do you know who Jocko Willink is?
I'm not familiar with that name.
Okay, so he's a former Navy SEAL, like SEAL Team 6. He has like energy drinks, protein powder. He wrote a children's book series.
Okay.
But he has. So he's like a black belt in jiu-jitsu and I think a few other things. But his daughter, Rana Willink, is on the card. And I've seen her fight a couple times. I don't know. I'm not as familiar with these names as I am the others.
All right, Cash. I love your takes, your analysis of this BJJ 7 card. A pretty like 5 days from now? Yeah, like April 2nd, because we're just at April 2nd, guys, is BJJ 7. So either when this comes out, it already may have happened, or it's going to be close to the date. So, yeah, by the time of the recording, it'll be a few days out until the event. But when this comes out, it may have happened, and the results may be out. But I did some research, Cash. So basically, Andrew Tackett versus Wagner Ciara. Is that how you pronounce his middle name?
Roca? I don't know his middle name.
Yeah,
it's not here.
Yeah, Wagner Roca. So basically, on the UFC website, they put a middle name that I can't pronounce. But Tackett, so Cash, is Tackett 0-0 or no?
No, he's the champ.
Oh shoot! So he's the champ. Okay, so I don't know what I'm looking at, but I don't know what I'm looking at. But yeah, so Andrew Tackett, like you said, Cash, he's the champ, taking on Roca. Correct me if I'm wrong, Cash. He is 14-4. Is that his record for Roca? Yeah.
Overall in jiu-jitsu, he's 108-31.
So in jiu-jitsu, so probably UFC Brazilian jiu-jitsu. That's probably his record. But with that,
his career he's like 14-4.
Okay, yeah. So that's what I got here. 14-4 with Roca. So
that's MMA.
All right. Yeah, so that's the welterweight championship, as you guys can see here. That's the main event. So that's the main event. It'll be a UFC BJJ welterweight title match for 170 pounds. So Cass, so they're 170 pounds, right? Like they're around there, I guess you would say?
Yeah, it's usually 170. Lightweight would be 155.
Yeah, so speaking about 155, Cass, that's actually what the co-main is going to be. Carlos Henrique and Lucas Valente. They're fighting for the women's lightweight title. Women's lightweight title. I don't know if Carlos is a women's name, but
no, it's not.
Yeah, I don't know if this is hacked or what, but yeah, if you look at
Henrique is a man.
Yeah, I don't know what is going on here with this UFC thing. It says on the UFC website, Cash. Like, if you search up this card, UFC BJJ 7 card, and you go on the UFC website, like it says women's. Like I'm being serious. Like 155 pounds UFC BJJ women's lightweight title match. Carlos Enrique and Lucas Valente. I'm like, fam, when was Carlos and the name Carlos and Lucas a women's name? Like I did not know that. Either it's hacked or I'm not gonna go further than that, but yeah, that's insane. But supposed to be 155 pounds is for the lightweight championship between Carlos Enrique and Lucas Valente.
Yeah, I have no idea. That's strange.
Crazy, right, Cash? So yeah, so I'll probably search that out when we're done with this show.
Yeah.
We check it out because yeah, that's crazy. And then Arlie Laverne and Rebecca Lima. That's definitely a woman's name. Definitely.
Yeah, those are girls.
Okay, those are girls. That'll be for the featherweight title at 145 pounds. So that is the 3 events going on at the top. And then obviously we have the prelims under that. So pretty good card here for BJJ 7 UFC. So when this comes out, it may have already happened or it'll be close to the event. So that'll be 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Live on YouTube. It's going to be live on YouTube, guys. It's free. Come on now. You got to watch it. Live on YouTube.
Is it UFC free anyways now on Paramount Plus?
Well, Paramount Plus, you got to pay cash.
You got the subscription, but if you're subscribed to Paramount Plus, you get it free.
Yeah, it's true. So if you guys got Paramount Plus, you guys can watch UFC for free. But for this one, it's live on YouTube. You guys can just search up the event and it's there for free. Like it's just like our show. Just search up our show. It's live on YouTube. Like Cass, like I don't know if our show has pay-per-view. Like, is our show pay-per-view?
I don't think so.
I don't think it is, right? I don't know.
Do that?
I don't know if our show's pay-per-view. I don't know.
You do pay-per-view videos?
I don't know. We might do paid videos, pay-per-view. But this is live on YouTube. It's free, guys. Just Thursday, April 2nd. It may have already happened for all I know. But UFC BJJ 7. That's live on YouTube, so you guys can check that out. Or you can watch the highlights if it already happened. If it already happened, check out the highlights. Should be a good one.
Maybe they'll watch it live and then they watch this.
Maybe, yeah. All right, Cass. And now let's talk about our final topic before we sign off. So this is RAF 07. So pretty not familiar with this, but according to what I'm seeing from the pictures, it looks like it's a wrestling thing. Sounds like it's wrestling. So Cash, you take the floor on this one.
So Saryukin versus Poulos 1 was Saryukin and not Saryukin. Poulos. Giorgio Poulos was wrestling more dirty. His whole thing is he's got like an Instagram thing where he's never been taken down. And if you take him down, he gets like you give him like $1,000.
Okay.
But in the first fight, he was like clubbing hard with his forearm, not to grab collar ties. It was just more like a direct hit. And he was just wrestling dirty, trying to get Armin mad, to get Armin to do something illegal and get him disqualified so Poulos could win and not get taken down, I think. Like, that's what it read to me as. But Armin basically just, teched him, because if you get 10 points ahead of your opponent, you automatically win. But he teched his opponent. He teched Giorgio, and then he punched him, and then kneed him on the ground. And then a brawl broke out between all of the corners.
Ooh, that's not good.
Yeah, you had like Colby Covington dragging people off the scene.
Covington, oh my gosh.
But that first, I say it's going to be the same thing, except maybe minus the riot.
Okay, so same thing minus the riot. All right, good. So same result basically.
Yes.
Minus the riot.
Yeah.
Okay.
For what is it? Covington versus Dennis. I don't know Dennis. Maybe you can jump in on that.
Yeah. So so as some of you guys know, Dylan Dennis, MMA fighter. He's in the MMA world. He does wrestling. He does jiu-jitsu. Like he's a part of that world. But he did a boxing match with Logan Paul. I think it was like a few years ago, on a pretty big card in the UK in London. He fought Logan Paul as the co-main event of a very popular card with YouTuber KSI in the card. He was fighting Tommy Fury on that same card.
Let me guess. KSI got knocked out?
KSI, I think, lost that one by decision, but he didn't get knocked out, Cash. He did not get knocked out. Tommy Fury ended up winning that one. And, Tommy Fury ended up winning that one. But for the Dennis and Logan Paul fight, pretty similar to what you said, Cash, when there was a brawl at the end. There was a brawl at the end. Security had to jump in the middle of the fight. Well, in the middle of the fight when things got out of control. So basically, it went the full 8 rounds. Full 8 rounds when it came down to. Then the 8th round, I guess, Dennis wanted to do some silly stuff. Let's just say that. Some silly stuff that is not orthodox for boxing.
Like hit him after the bell? Like
yeah,
the bell right and he hit him?
He kind of did some things that you shouldn't do in boxing, that you do like in jiu-jitsu or MMA. Like he kind of had some of those things in a boxing match. And Cash,
like trying to choke him out or something.
Yeah, like he tried to do some stuff. And if you guys can watch it back, there's highlights of it. Dennis versus Paul, Dylan Dennis versus Logan Paul. That matchup in that fight in the UK came down to a brawl at the end. And Dylan Dennis, he didn't win he didn't win the fight, even though it went the distance. Logan Paul clearly won that fight. And Dylan Dennis just basically embarrassed himself in front of the world, basically, in the UK and the others watching. So here he is, RAF 07. He's doing something. He's doing wrestling now. I'm seeing here. So and at least he's in his neck of the woods. Dylan Dennis. According to what I'm reading here, his pro MMA record, he has 3 wins, 0 losses, 0 draws. He's currently on a 3-win MMA streak. 32 years old, 6 foot, 72-inch reach, 178 pounds. That's what, according to what I'm seeing with Dennis. And then with Covington, he is 17-5-0. He's currently on a 2-match losing streak, but he's fighting out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. That is my neck of the woods in Broward County. So, hey, Cash, I always root for my Broward County guys. They represented. So, and obviously, I don't like Dylan Dennis. I don't like what he did in the Logan Paul fight. Obviously, we're going to go with Covington to win that fight. So,
I agree. Covington's a good wrestler. He's number 13 in the UFC welterweight division.
He is welterweight, yes.
Okay. Yeah, UFC welterweight division, number 13 ranked.
Yeah. Yes, so that's Covington and Dennis. And then, Cash, you basically gave your analysis on the main event, too. So it's going to be the second, the sequel of what it was from the first one. And then you got a plethora of matches going on in that card.
Kyle Dake's going to most likely win that.
Who?
Kyle Dake.
Okay, right, yes. Yeah, top left.
I think Kyle Dake's going to win. He's one of the – I don't know much about the other guy, but if I had to guess, I'd choose Dake. He's apparently champion from what it looks like. You can see the belt over his shoulder.
Yeah, so I'm searching Kyle Dake, and it shows non-applicable, but I don't know if that probably thing's not updated. Same thing as the Parker guy, so I don't know. Carlos Enrique. I don't know, to be honest. The thing's not updated, so yeah. So that's that, and then obviously we got a plethora of matches going on.
Phil Bassett, Jason Nolf.
Yep, so on and so forth. So that'll be going on live from the Youngling Center in Tampa. So it'll be live from Tampa, Florida, in the state of Florida. It'll be on March 28th. It probably would have happened already if you guys were watching this. If you guys were watching this would have happened already. It will be live on. It will be on Fox Nation. So that's where the fight will be. So by the time you guys are watching this, it should be on YouTube with the highlights and stuff. Yeah, things like that. So the results should be already out. What?
Is that tonight or tomorrow?
It's tomorrow. But for the people that are watching this, because remember, we're recording, Cash. So
yeah.
So this would have already gone on. So on the day of the recording, guys, this would be the day before the fight. This would be the day before the card. And so if you guys are watching this, this card would have already happened. There will be results and there will be highlights on YouTube and stuff that would already be going on. So RAF07 Wrestling, Fox Nation. You can watch the highlights on YouTube for the results of what went down. All right, guys. Cash, what a great show today. We talked about everything in the MMA world. We talked about wrestling. We talked about UFC BJJ. We talked about a little bit of basketball. And then, obviously, we honor the great Chuck Norris, who shares my first name, Carlos. So, all right, Cash. So, do you have any final thoughts? Basically, there
was something I forgot to mention.
Mm-hmm.
Chuck Norris, he died just like a week and 2 days after his birthday.
Very sad indeed, but
worst birthday present ever.
Yeah, definitely. But hey, he had a great life, great everything when he was here, and we basically said all the accomplishments. He was a great person while he was here. So, and obviously we honor the great Chuck Norris on our show today on episode 3. So that wraps up the end of the show, guys. Thank you guys for watching. For those of you watching the recording, like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell icon. Here we are live on YouTube. So please make sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon so that you get notified of when we go live. Also, follow our Instagram at Lambo and Cash Show. That is where we post sports news. We will start to get that rolling for you guys live.
Well, as Beach Boys BJJ.
Oh, yes, Cash. And where can they find you, Cash? Where can they find you?
On Instagram at Beach Boys BJJ.
There you go, guys. Beach Boys BJJ. That is where you can find Cash there. That is his Instagram account. You can find me at DEnforcer33. And also on the Be Ready Sports Podcast. I'm the co-host of the Be Ready Sports Podcast. You can also find me on there. But my personal account, D_Enforcer33. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon so they get notified when we go live. All right, guys. So great show, Cash. Great show. I know we don't have an outro like the Be Ready Sports Podcast. So, hey, we're going to work on that. But for you guys watching the recording, thank you guys for watching. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Lambo and Cash Show. We are signing off, guys.